what? Well. Let's get this show started. Let's do it. I got so much to...
Yes, wasn't that long ago.
I know, that's the issue. Hopefully we can...
But outside it's packed.
People can't wait to get in here. Come on now. Let's do a show. There it is. All right, mic's running. Everybody's good. Volume's nice and hot. Stormy weather. Yeah, it's raining like crazy outside. It's raining outside, and Chip, who we allow to go outside sometimes because the back of the house is fenced off. You know, I've got a my own little gated community of cats. But we let Chip kind of go out there because there's no way he can climb anything, and he's too fat to sneak under the gate. Like literally, there's no way he could get out because he just doesn't fit anywhere. So we allow him to go out there sometimes, and he's like, what's outside like? What what is outside like? This is outside. I said, this is a, oh God. It's super cute. And eventually he gets semi-relaxed and he's fine. Well, the power wasn't out for a while. The internet was out. That's why I disappeared earlier, by the way. I was getting to that. Internet went down. Luckily, it came back on within like 3 hours, so we were fine. I will still chalk it up as an attack by the deep state establishment to try and cancel me, to keep me from speaking the truth, and to stop me from succeeding in the algorithm, because leave a comment below if you think that I should succeed in the algorithm or if I shouldn't. And yeah, I told you I had this shirt on earlier. Honest to God, I haven't washed this shirt yet, and I always wash a shirt before I'm sensitive. So I wash the shirt before I wear it, because it just came in the mail. But I got it myself, by the way. I purchased it myself. I did not, I'm not gifted this. The Soros Foundation didn't send me a gift box or some shit. Maggots in the chat room. Anyways, so I had it out there, and I had another shirt I was wearing, and Chip was very needy, so I was giving him pets and loves and belly rubs, and then I looked down, and I might as well have been wearing a fur coat. So I was like, I got to change my shirt, and the only shirt I had, because it had just arrived in the mail, is this one. So if at some point I get all itchy and just tear my shirt off, that's the thing. It's not the fault of Dark Brandon or anybody. It's just that I usually wash shirts before I wear them, and it's be a little itchy. Thanks, Sparksaw. Did you get am I getting the hard stare in the emotes? By the way, those of you that are on Twitch or subscribe on Twitch or haven't subscribed on Twitch or are thinking about subscribing on Twitch, it is September, which means that subscribing to Twitch is like some percentage off, 25, 35%. Does anybody know? Put it in the chat. And so you can subscribe cheaper, and yet I still get the same amount from your subscription, I think. And so I might have to do a subathon during September and get that going out and whatever. Anyways, if you're up for it, 25% off. Thank you. Yes, it is September. So if you feel like subscribing on Twitch, this is the time to do it. And if you have Amazon Prime and you use it, which many of you do, you can subscribe and it doesn't cost you a dime. You get one account for free and you just sign up on it. Yeah, please tear off the shirt. Simmer down. It is a little itchy, and I don't know if it's just because it's itchy because I want to take my shirt off. No. Okay. So, obviously, we must talk about the end times. I don't know, and maybe chat room, you can tell me what, philosophically, maybe before you came to this show, what area you fell into, what category of philosophical or ethical thinking you fell into. Nihilist, existentialist, absurdist, fundamentalist, incrementalist, because as you might understand that increasingly in my philosophical journey in the doings of the show, thanks for see that following, that's lovely, look at that. Increasingly, I personally am finding that optimism in and of itself is not an attitude or an idea. It is intrinsic to everything you do. So there are optimists and there are optimism denialists. But that's it. You're one of the two. You're either optimistic and aware that you're optimistic, or you're denying that you're optimistic while being optimistic, whether you want to admit it or not. Because at the base, yes, incremental positive movement. You betcha. Real, true progressivism, which is, all progress is valuable, and if you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you've still taken 1 step forward, so shut the fuck up and keep walking, because you're going in the right direction. Pessimistic optimist. Now, a pessimist, honest to God, even a pessimist is an optimist. You want to see that? You want to see a little bit of philosophical twisting and turn? I could fucking write a paper on this. I could get a degree in philosophy that I could argue whether I have it or not from this argument. That even pessimists are optimists because they believe that by lowering their expectations of the future, it will alleviate the suffering that they might experience by getting their hopes up. So their act of pessimism is optimistic because they see a better outcome in that behavior. So they lower their expectations for their... Huh? How do you like that? Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, try to work your way out of that one, you depressive assholes. All right, now. All right. So, I like being cynical, damn it. No, you don't, or you wouldn't swear when you said it. You'd be like, I love being cynical. You know what I mean? You'd kind of throw your hair back and glance up at the sky, give a prince-like eye gesture. Yeah. I'm glad you guys like the t-shirt. A, so do I. B, I'm sure I will enjoy the people that it will upset. Because there are going to be people who are going to, whoop, honest to God, just wearing this will draw some people in who are scanning by, watching on YouTube or Twitch or something like that, motherfucker. Like you're not allowed. And in the same way that I'm sure MAGA hats made people stop by and go, you suck, into stuff, whatever. I'm playing verbal tennis. That's true. Now, let's return back to the illusion of reality that most people think that they live in, and that is that this is the end. The end is nigh. Nigh gonna come anytime soon. Sorry to depress you. And again, I don't want to upset anybody, and I know this will make some people very mad, but the end is not nigh by any stretch. You're in for the long haul. Suck it up. Life isn't short. It's fucking long. And you need to fill it with good stuff as much as you can. Now, why do I say that? Why? Well, because this is the new, let's see if I can find shut the fuck, why is this making noise? Oh, it's Rumble, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, needless to say, it's not surprising. Well, I'll give you a good, who incorporates, like, just fucking grifty doomspring, never to be outdone by rusty trombone, Russell Brand. Look at this. What's next? And literally, the name of this is COVID hysteria or World War III. Which terrifying road will elites take us down? Now, elites, look, anti-intellectualism has always been a problem. And as somebody who grew up in the South, I was surrounded by it. And hate smarts is a shitty way to live. But calling people elites is the new anti-intellectualism. And it also allows you to sort of, the value to people like Glenn Beck and others. And we're not going to go straight to Glenn Beck because we're going to go to, where is it? This one? Where is it? Nope, this is this one. Yeah, here you go. Tucker Carlson, I think talking to, who was he talking to? Rogan or somebody? Anyways, doesn't matter. In an interview, he says they're going to assassinate Trump or whatever. Like, okay. But the anti-elite conversation, let me explain to you the root of it. More than any other aspect of it. More than the if it bleeds, it leads excitement of telling your audience that, oh shit, if you don't tune in, you might not know where death is coming from. That kind of thing, which is always ever present in some sort of, it's true crime thrives on it, right? I think all true crime, especially serial killer ones, it's Adam Carolla. Okay. So it's the annoying nasal version of it's Joe Rogan with a sinus infection, right? Gotcha. Okay. And more hair, I think. Does he still have, I don't know if he's shaved his head yet. Anyways, point being is that on the one hand, yes, there's always this if it bleeds, it leads aspect of things. It sells mystery novels and true crime shows and makes you tune into the 11 o'clock news. Fine. That's a normal, that's been around forever. What's new about this version of it and why doom sprayers in particular want to worry you about elites and experts and why they will attack, quote, elites and experts, while at the same time saying Trump is an elite and then at the same time saying he's an everyman, even though he was, born on third base and thought he had a triple with a gold-plated spoon in his mouth. what they want you to do, and especially Glenn Beck, more than any person that like, because I think like Russell Brand offshores he finds other experts while warning you about experts. You know what I mean? Like he brings on people he considers experts to tell you that have all the same credentials, arguably, as journalists or something else, but just have, you know, the take he wants to hear, right? Or they flat out just cite mainstream media and blow it off and never even spot the hypocrisy. But in this particular instance, Glenn Beck is trying to warn you away from elites and experts in the same way that like faith healers and charlatan pastors will try to talk you out of, you know, questioning the you know, that the earth is 6,000 years old or something like that. Because once a bullshitter, always a bullshitter. And if you realize they're how full of shit they are, you won't come back, right? And because we're in the information age and so much is available to you, they have two choices. One, they can tell you turn it off and don't talk to anybody, which they know you won't, don't look at anything, which they know you won't do. So what they can do is draft you towards their supportive arguments, whether they're bullshit or not. And, you know, especially if they are bullshit and they're feeding you bullshit. And away from, and make you distrust, you know, the well-verified, you know, deeply scientific aspects of life, because anytime they're wrong means they're all wrong. Anytime they're his rando fuckhead expert that he brings on is wrong, you're supposed to ignore that for all the times he's right. Or that they're only ever wrong when they agree with the science. Like, it's so lame. So, but the idea is that ignore the experts, ignore the elites, because if you do, you'll realize eventually that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's the Glenn Beck mantra. That's the Blaze in a nutshell. And it's, quite frankly, Tucker Carlson's business model as well. Swear people off of experts, outrage them about things that are socially debatable, and then pretend that the scientific community or something like that is out to straight up fucking kill you. The only natural extrapolation of that is, of course, in this case, which is this is I think a clip that Sebastian Gorka is playing, because this is from America First with Gorka. And Gorka. Sorry, there's a better way I can say that. One second. Gorka. So this is, do you agree with Tucker that President Trump's life is in danger? Yes, I believe his life is in danger. From his diet and lack of exercise, his age, and his stress level. Or what you fuckers would call lifestyle choices. So here we go.
What do you think the future holds? Is it...
By the way, is Adam Carolla just going full Jiminy Glick at this point? Or...
I don't know.
I mean, are they going to let Trump be president?
No, of course.
Is that how it works? Do the elites let someone be president? You mean like they let him be president last time?
Of course. I mean, look, if, they protested him, they called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses.
And he lost.
They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th.
No, they fucking well did not.
In order to impeach him again. It didn't work.
Yes, it did. He was impeached. The only reason the Republicans didn't seek to remove him was because he had already lost the fucking election. If he had won and tried some some version of January 6th where he was doing martial law, 3 to 6 months into his presidency, that was the equivalent where they were trying to not pass something or not give him military force authorization that he wanted, and he tried something similar, they'd have voted him out. The only reason they kicked him out was because he'd already lost. They didn't kick him out because he'd already lost.
He came back, then they indicted him. It didn't.
No. He got a letter that said he was being targeted, and then he decided to run super fucking early. Get your timeline right, Curly.
He became more popular.
No, he didn't. He's got 50% of a party he won 96% of last time.
Then they indicted him 3 more times. And
well, in their defense, he committed 91 crimes.
Every single time his popularity rose.
No. No. Now, he raised some money because that invigorates his base and they get all riled up. But then they recede again because they're running out of fucking money.
So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next?
It did work. He lost last time. It already worked. It did work. And what's next? I would guess jailing him for the crimes he's found guilty of. Where he can run for president from jail if he fucking wants to. And if he wins, I don't know where in the world that happens, but in this alternate universe where he actually wins running from fucking jail. And again, I guess, I don't know, is Biden going to run from his basement again? Because that's how he beat him last time.
I mean, graph it out, man.
Strap it out. They got to blow him up. Obviously, nuclear strike. I mean, it's just obvious.
We're speeding toward assassination. Obviously.
Obviously not. Hold on a second. Oh, dear. Very exciting. Chip is trying to warn us. You okay, Chip? Floodwaters are coming. Get ready to bail. We are uphill from it, I think. I know it's coming this way, but we're uphill from it. We are. Halfway far. It's not halfway far. All right, I just get my waders. If it happens, there's the water's rising in the street because it's raining so heavily. And Chip is like, I'm going to go outside, but it's wet. That's happening. So, no, we're not graphing towards assassination at all. And the fact that this fucker has a brain with like 4 sectors that he can bounce around in, this is the cooked brain of the extremist. Las Vegas is going to be washed into the Pacific Ocean? Yeah. If it floods much, you're going to have Chip on your shoulder? Oh, yeah. All the cats will be riding right on my head while I do the show in standing water. So, no, they're not going to assassinate Donald Trump. I would say, first of all, I don't think he actually believes this. I think he's full of shit. Secondly, I think he also just hung out with Trump, and he's very aware of the ill health that Trump is in general. The sort of wheezy, heavy breathing, the sweating, the like kind of, God knows he may have even seen him do a rail of Adderall while he was doing the interview with him or before. So as he's aware that he might croak, what you do is just if you know you're going to sell the conspiracy, if you know oh man, you fucking think of all the money that's been made off the JFK actual assassination, and then know that maggots will fund a media career for the next 3 fucking decades if Trump keels over from a fish delight, or has a heart attack on the shitter like Elvis. Right? Fake assassination, then fly to Russia. Yeah, the problem is if Trump faked his assassination, then flew to Russia, Russia would go, look who we got. Fuck you. He was always on our side. You're so stupid. And then it'll be hilarious. But I'm telling you, I have no interest in the assassination of the man. This is just fucking stupid.
And no one will say that, but I don't.
You just said it, and the reason it's not that no one will say that, is that there's only a rare group of people that actually fucking believe it, and they're lunatics.
I don't know how you can't reach that conclusion.
Well, that's because you're thinking with your brain, stupid. All right. So let me explain to Tucker when he sees this, and to everyone around him. This is what dumb looks like. This is what dumb feels like. If you're stupid, you can only think stupid things, and then everything that's outside the realm of stupid considerations seems impossible to you. This is what flat earthers look like. This is what people who clung to fought against the heliocentric model of the universe, it looks like. This is what religious fanatics, like of the Hail Bop level, you know, the Heaven's Gate cult. That's what happens. You live in a gated community of stupid thoughts, and everything outside of it's like the second Cloverfield movie. You know, there's no monster outside, but you've convinced yourself there is, so you stay in the bunker and make up stories in your own head of what the monster looks like and what it does. Of course, this is what he fucking thinks. Or at least what he thinks the Trumpies and the Musk crowd, like on Shitter, want him to say. And also, if you want to talk about a natural, like he breaks down this, what is it? This count.
Came back, then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin...
So he's counting this off. If you think this, and this, right?
With criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work. What's next?
Well, first of all, it is working. Secondly, this is also more about if you're in Tucker's situation and if you're telling your audience that the United States, the Dow's going to crash and the economy's going to crash and inflation's going to go to 100% and oil's going to be $200 a barrel, and what else do you have to tell them to scare the fuck out of them? See how two can play at that game? That if you've been selling bullshit this whole time and none of it has panned out, none of it. Trump's getting like way more due process than any average human being would be. You got a fucking motorcade where he could come in and give it. Somebody else wrote down his weight and height, and he had an appointment to take his photograph like he was getting a prom shot. And they're like, he's not getting his due process. They're trying to lock him up so he can't run. He can still run. Still running. They didn't take away his passport. Nothing. They didn't. Anybody else, you'd have a fucking ankle bracelet on. But if you're Tucker Carlson or you're Elon Musk or whatever, and you've been warning everybody that the end is 9999999, and it fucking doesn't happen, there's only really one thing that will perk people's ears up, right? There's only one thing that you can say, they're just going to kill him. That's the natural extension of this argument. This is the ad absurdum reality when you sell this shit for a living. Which, by the way, explains this shit. Glenn's in the same fucking boat. The economy hasn't crashed. People aren't out of work and, crime is on its way down after a spike post-COVID because people were wearing masks and they felt like, oh shit, this is a great time to steal a car because everybody's wearing a mask and they can't really, they won't be able to identify me. That gets me out of the fucking lineup. Hoodie and a mask, I'm fucking gone. Right? Once that ends, crime starts to drip back down because we see your face. That's it. Anybody could have fucking spotted that coming. So, this is more about like, how is Glenn going to scare the fuck out of his viewers to keep them watching after he's been this wrong so many times? Now, I don't know if this is from one of his specials, because it looks like it from the framing. So I don't pre-watch these things. Why? I'm here to have fun with you guys, not torture myself. But let's see.
Hello, America. Gotcha. What?
Oh, get the fuck out of here. So everybody's going Jiminy Glick? Wait, what? You know, it's wonderful. Glenn Hasselbeck. Is that your middle name? Oh. All right.
Hello, America.
Shut the fuck up. They're not all watching. Why don't you just say, hello, Blaze viewer? Hello, loyal Blaze viewer. And people who like to dunk on me because I'm an asshat.
It's Friday.
Oh, yeah, wait. Hold on. I don't have any. Yeah, here you go. Wait. Hello, America. Fuck are you doing here? Get off. Hello, America. Get off my lawn.
Friday, which means I'm going to just go over a couple of things that
Wait a minute. It's what day?
it's Friday,
Oh, I see. Just okay. Friday. All right. Yep. Friday, and your lazy bones.
which means I'm going to just go over a couple of things that maybe I didn't get a chance to touch on, or I thought it was important to reiterate a couple of things.
Yeah, we're all just waiting with bated breath. Yeah. So you know what? I'm gonna go with these. Fuck it. Come on, man. Give me. I want to see what the news is. That's right. Give me the end times. I want to know what's happening. Come on now.
First of all, thank goodness we have somebody who has the life experience where he can relate to anyone.
That's right, man. I get it. I came up in Memphis, and I grew up eating peanut butter and banana sandwiches and taking uppers and downers and kind of like a cycle with me in the morning, so that I believe in you and me, like that. And I say it all the time, like, come on now. And then I died the same way, man. Come on.
If you're
By the way, he means this is a ironic statement about Joe Biden in the defense of Donald Trump.
a father or mother of a soldier who died, for some reason, he's got a son whose body came back in a flag-draped coffin, which we don't know why his body would have been shipped from where he died at the cancer hospital in the U.S. But
That's not what he said, fucker. Fuck you. Look, you don't open with lying about someone's conversation about their dead son. The cancer he got was caused by his time near burn pits, more than likely in Iraq. That's the relation point. And the fact that this shut the fuck up. The fact that this dopey motherfucker would open and calls himself a Christian, for fuck's sake.
He understands you. Or
excuse me, real quick. He lost an adult son who served in the military and more than likely was injured in his military service, and that led to his death. By the way, just for the record, yes, Glenn Beck is saying fuck you to the 9/11 first responders who didn't die on site. Because you weren't at 9/11. You didn't die because of 9/11. You didn't die in relation to the buildings coming down and all that kind of stuff because you suffered for decades and died later. That's what Glenn, I mean, this dude. Whew.
you have your whole neighborhood burned down in Hawaii, you know. He understands because he had a kitchen fire at one point. Or maybe you're in Florida and you've just lost everything because of a hurricane. Well, once again, he's got you. Watch.
I didn't do anything like that, but lightning struck my house. We had to be out of that house for about 7 months while it was repaired because so much damage was done to the house and half the house almost collapsed.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have anywhere close to that. He's relating to the fact that people will be displaced.
Don't you feel better now that you have somebody who can feel your pain? Sure, he didn't lose his house in a hurricane, but...
You know what? A lot of people don't lose their house in the hurricane. They have it damaged in the hurricane and then they rebuild. And addressing that particular group of people who are in shelters for a time being and need to make sure that the insurance is going to back them up, or that they're going to get their house rebuilt, or that they've got a pathway to do it, or even if they couldn't, it doesn't sit there because the roads are fucked up or the power lines have come down, so that workers can't get in there to clean the fucking place up, so mold grows and ruins the whole fucking thing. It's called adulting, you dimwit.
He was out of his house because he had a lightning strike for almost 7 months. And absolutely no clue is if any of that is true. Don't know.
Well, then shut the fuck up about it and talk about the things you know about. Like criticizing someone, empathizing with another person about the loss of their adult son or the loss of his daughter when she was effectively a toddler.
But
how old? I'm blitzing on her. I want to say she was 8, but I may be getting that number wrong when Biden lost his wife and his daughter. But like the fact that this dude dredges that shit up and just shrugs it off. Unlike what, and by the way, if you're gonna play that, why don't you just play footage of Trump playing fucking paper towel basketball with people in Puerto Rico?
He can relate. Now, I want to talk to you about something I think is the most important thing that came across this week.
Oh, good. So it was the most important thing. It's this week. So next week, who fucking knows?
And I'm going to get to that here in just a minute. First,
it's the most important thing, but give me a minute. It can wait until after what? The opening ad?
let me tell you about Rough Greens.
Fuck you. Rough Greens. It's those drinks where you take all your vegetables and you can drink it in that thing, or you take a little pill or a gummy. That's not what we do around here. Rough Greens. You take a pine cone and you fill it up with this green powder, and then you hammer it up your ass with a small rubber mallet. That's Rough Greens.
River.
Buy them today. Jesus Christ. Rough Greens. No. By the way, no. Fuck your Rough Greens business. And by the way, if it has greens involved, there's no fucking way Glenn Beck takes it. I take it every morning. It makes me feel great. Blah, blah, blah. No, you fucking well do not. There is no way that Glenn Beck takes a scoop of something called Canine Vitus. Oh, this is for his dogs. You know what? This is what I believe. Like, Glenn Beck definitely feeds his dogs like green powder. If they've been mean, they've been bad, they shit on the carpet. Rough Greens.
Talking about what is coming.
Yes, making stuff up, right? As opposed to what is happening right now, what's actually happening. Because God knows, here's why Glenn Beck doesn't want to talk about what's coming. Doesn't want to talk about what here right now and wants to talk about what's coming. It's because what's coming, he can make up. He can, 6, thank you. God damn it. 6 years old, not 8. You think he can relate? Think he can fucking relate to horrible times in your life? You have any fucking... Oh, God, Glenn Beck, just eat shit. Anyways, so the reason Glenn Beck wants to talk about something in the future is because he can fictionalize it. He can make it up. And if he talks about what's happening right now, he would have to be doing what I did earlier before my show was shut off by the internet going down. Thank you, Papa Nature. Mother Nature is very giving, but Papa Nature can be a bit of a dick. He could be talking about the Trump deposition, looking at parts of it, looking what Trump actually said in his New York case, instead of just saying Letitia James has it out for him, shit like that.
And it's all about COVID, the return.
Okay. No, it's fucking well not. Being concerned about COVID, having a variant for especially people who are unvaccinated or unboosted or particularly susceptible to something that, like, before he even starts this shit, I've seen a couple of stories about a COVID variant and the possibility of it, when boosters are necessary and who might need to get them and when and all that stuff. We've seen little stories about that. But I've not seen anywhere close to a panic attack about it. Quite frankly, if anything, it's been downplayed more than anything.
Of COVID. Here's what President Trump said on Thursday.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election.
A year from now. Honest to God, if Democrats were going to use COVID as oh my God, a new variant, oh dear God, making sure people are boosted a year before would undercut that.
They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars.
We watched this shit already. Get over it. It's just an excuse. Okay. Glenn is filling fucking time playing these videos. And this is not about the future at all. This is just fucking Trump rambling.
Mandate or a vaccine mandate. Thank you very much.
Great. A couple of things there. I mean, I think you should cut funding to all those things anyway, but
cut funding to disease prevention. So what you're for, Glenn Beck, is even if you don't fucking believe in actual contagious disease, I don't know what the fuck leech doctor you go to, but if you, let's just say you don't believe in it. So all of those services are stood up in case we are hit with a bioweapon. So Glenn wants the Center for Disease Control and all that to stand down in case one of our enemies wants to hit us with anthrax or something like that. And then if they do hit us and it's spreading like fucking wildfire across the country, what Glenn will do is go on television every fucking day telling you that anthrax is fake and that it's not this is all made up and you shouldn't go and get yourself tested or treated and you can just fucking make out with anybody with open sores. Get at it, because that's the best way. You know, if you're going through hell, keep going, especially if it's a contagious disease. Yeah, you want to do that? Would you want to do that in any other country in the world?
So COVID coming back, because that's what they did last time.
Who's they? China?
And you can make a good case for that
No, you can't.
because here's the White House.
When updated COVID shots become available in mid-September, we've heard from the FDA and CDC. They announced this last week that there will be new vaccines are we in September? Next month, mid-September. We will be encouraging all Americans to get updated COVID vaccines, and also let's not forget the RSV. Let's not forget the influenza shots as well. All are very critical and important. So we'll be encouraging Americans to do that. And vaccinations, as we all know, as you've heard us say from here, against COVID-19 remains the safest protection for avoiding hospitalization, long-term health outcomes, and death.
That's actually true. As a matter of fact, fuckwad, the very fact that the White House is aiming at everybody being vaccinated is so we don't have to have lockdowns. Because that's the alternative in a contagion. Good Lord.
Okay. All right. So you can see that, how that.
You can see what? Jesus Christ. They've been telling, we lose what, 30 to 70,000 people a year to the flu. And so flu vaccinations became very normal, and there's a new variant every year, and they encourage people who might be susceptible to it or have a weakened immune system or just through age and other infirmity or pre-existing conditions might be more susceptible to damage from the flu. So they tell people to go get a fucking vaccine every year. In the beginning of that, the RFK Juniors and all those fucking idiots were out saying like, oh, well, you don't do that. You don't. That's they're trying to control you and blah blah blah. And then it saves a bunch of lives. Drops like I want to say we were originally 70 and it's lower. Let me look at the numbers right now. Let's see, if I may. And the COVID part is thrown off by it because. Let's see. Yeah, 22, 23. What do we got it here? Yeah, because influenza surveillance does not capture all cases of flu that occur, they have to guesstimate. Here's the impact of the flu, if I may, in the United States every year, according to the CDC. Wait, hold on. It's this guy. 27 to 54 million people will get the flu. 12 to 26 million will get medical visits because of the flu. This is the variation. 300,000 to 650,000 will be hospitalized because of the flu. These are people in hospital beds for varying amounts of time. And we have between 19,000 and 58,000 flu deaths. This is from October 1st of 2022 to April 30th this year. That's how many there have been. We've had somewhere between, and because they can't tell how many people came in with flu, or it was an extenuating aspect of why they passed away, or it was the primary reason, or they came in and they had flu and they ended up with pneumonia, and and then it got worse or whatever, or it was part of their culture, but when they swabbed them, but it wasn't the thing that took them out. That's why there's some variation. But 19,000 to 58,000. That number is down since people started getting regular vaccinations, and COVID separation lowered the amount of people who died from flu immensely. So the social distancing and the masking, while they're like, it didn't work, it never worked, and they know it didn't work, it's just a control do. Well, if it didn't work, then why did all the other respiratory diseases, the deaths from those and the illnesses from those go down as well? And it wasn't because people weren't checking, because everybody was testing the fuck out of themselves. People were like celebrating. It's just the flu. What a fucking idiot.
That could possibly play out. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I really...
They're not going to do anything. We'll either have a dose of reality or fucking not.
do believe they got something up their sleeve. And it might just be cheating. I don't know what it is.
Or you're projecting your ethics onto the rest of the world. What's the most likely? What's most likely, Glenn, is that your charcoal-hearted attitude towards your fellow man creeps out in your paranoid, delusional, and quite frankly, Peter principle-driven idea of how America should work.
But they seem to not care about the average American voter. You know, it's like, yeah, we did our best in Hawaii, and we responded as fast as we could, and we sent everybody, $700. They're not, it's like they're not even caring what.
It's almost like you don't care about what actually happened. The $700 they specifically sent was for a down payment for an apartment if people needed to move, and they didn't think they'd be able to go back anytime soon, where it'll be months and months and months and months, and they don't have the seed money. They have enough money in, from FEMA and maybe the Small Business Administration, who also came in to help support them with loans to keep their business afloat until they can rebuild it. But they weren't getting, they needed the direct payment in case they needed first and last. And they did it by household. So if you have two people in there, you've got $1,400 because you need a bigger space. And then they'll also back you up. These are direct funds on top of emergency supplies, a temporary shelter, a hotel room, and whatnot, so they can move people on so they don't get locked into there. It's almost like Glenn only knows the headlines of shitty red on Breitbart about how this went down.
You're feeling. You're focused on the wrong things. Yeah, so inflation is coming down. I don't care what happens to you at the gas pump. I don't care what happens to you in the grocery store. Look at the stock market. Nobody in their right mind is doing that.
Nobody in their right mind thinks the stock market going up means inflation goes down, or vice versa, or that they're even correlated. I mean, I guess this is straw manning. Is there like a rubber manning? Is there a jelly manning? This is a jelly manning. Yeah. Do any online pundits donate to charity? It's funny that you bring that up. Because Glenn's very proud of himself for some of the work that he does. Let's see. Bank. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, there was a hold on, let me grab this real quick. Let's see. Yeah, here's one. Give me 1 second. There's two things that I wanted to find. Okay, Glenn, let's see. Glenn Black and sure there. It's being news, I guess. Hold on one second. There is a democracy device. It's hard to find because he does a lot of spamiflage. They fill a lot. They have a lot of articles in there. Fuck this. Yeah, maybe this is the thing. When is this? It's 2015. That goes way back. Because there's so many times he's just fucking gross. Let's see. Well, at the very least, here I'll show you. This one right here. This is, how old is this one? Yeah, there's here's Glenn Beck shilling for Goldline back in 2015, and the company that he was hawking had to refund $4.5 million to customers because it was a fucking scam. And then there was a maybe it's a Daily Beast. There was an article just recently about this dude that let's see, news. This goes back to Elijah Schaffer being fired from the Blaze for sexual assault while he was there. Let me say this. By the way, I don't know if this is probably, I don't want to predict anything because I don't know, who knows. But I think Glenn Beck's going to use COVID as an excuse to say they're trying to get rid of him, the deep state or the Illuminati or somebody is trying to kill him. And the reason I say that is because in January of 2022, Glenn Beck says he has COVID again and it's hit his lungs, but he's taking ivermectin. I'm great, Mark. I'm great. Despite having COVID and seeing the destruction of our country. Do you have COVID right now, 11S? Yeah, I do. It's COVID. It's starting to go into my lungs today and a little disturbing. I'm on all the medications and treatments and everything else. It's all good. No, the monoclonal doesn't seem to be working for the new strain, Beck responded, for listing off a series of drugs, including ivermectin, that he's been consuming to hit the sickness hard. I've had it for about a week. I'm not going downhill. I mean, I think I'm feeling better. It's just in my lungs. You'll want to avoid that. On Mark Levitt show, Glenn Beck has announced he has COVID. He's taking ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Doubt it. He's a fatty fatso. That's what he says about himself. Mark, I'm not concerned about it. I'm really not. I'm just so done with this whole COVID thing. I know it's real. Oh, did they tell you to say that? Beck concluded, I'm a fatty fatso, so that is probably not the best thing, and I got some other issues. Beck did not return the Daily Beast's calls for. Anyways, there was this, there's this pastor that he was in bed with. Yeah, 30 minutes to help Afghanistan people out. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he borrowed Kenneth Copeland's plane so he could get the money left over. He could donate to Maui. Yeah, he... let's see. He borrowed Kenneth Copeland's plane so he could have money left over so he could donate to Maui. Hold on. Because the guy that he raised that money with was actually it turned out to be bullshit. There you go. Yeah, the Nazarene Fund. Right. Yeah, really. Glenn Beck's, let's see, hold on one second. I mean, this is, what does Glenn Beck think that we need about Biden and Hunter need to come out with? Transparency. We need transparency, right? That'll do it. Just open up your books. Just let them see. If anybody's got any questions, they can find out for themselves. They'll find out oh shit. Glenn Beck's fund won't say how it spent $35 million raised for Afghan evacuations. As the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan in August 2021 and the Taliban quickly took over the country, the government, private organizations worked to evacuate as many people as they could. Glenn Beck, the conservative LDS church media star, helped raise $35 million for his two charities, Mercury One and the Nazarene Fund, to pay for the evacuations. Now, both the Nazarene Fund and Mercury One are claiming they evacuated 12,000 people. The Nazarene Fund in August 29 tweet and Mercury One in August 30 tweet. Nazarene Fund is still working to find a place to house 2,800 of them who remain in the United Arab Emirates. The Mercury One tweet said the 12,000 evacuees had flown out on 34 chartered flights. A separate announcement said the Nazarene Fund and its partners funded and facilitated the departure of 35 planes out of Afghanistan that took 12,500 at-risk individuals to safety. Copeland loaned Mercury one of his planes. But aside from the tweets, the Nazarene Fund is saying little about what it has done with the funds it raised and declined to respond to the question from Ministry Watch, Vice, or the Dispatch. We reached out through calls. And U.S. relocated more than 100,000 Afghanistans in August of 2021. More than 150,000 Afghans who wanted to escape the country were in danger from the Taliban. That's where a handful of private charities. In addition to Mercury One and Nazarene Fund, other groups raised funds and worked to evacuate Afghans. Shy Fund, Black Feather, Task Force Argo, Deliver Fund, Sentinel Foundation, Project Dynamo, and Project Exodus. A number of these groups claim to evacuate members of Afghan national girls soccer team. Mercury One releases annual reports of its work, but its latest report covers 2020, when $8.6 million in income was used for humanitarian disaster relief and COVID response. There's no 2021 report yet. In 2021, the Nazarene Fund raised $3.7 million. Says its mission is to liberate the captive, to free the enslaved, and to rescue, rebuild, and restore the lives of Christians and other persecuted religious ethnic minorities wherever and whenever they need it. The Nazarene Fund often works with, by the way, so the Nazarene Fund and the Mercury One group are the same group. They double their numbers by reporting single numbers, and then they don't actually back up their numbers. Yeah. Just say it. Also, Kenneth Copeland funds Flashpoint, and so you could argue that that's just promo work. He didn't go over there himself.
If you want to win, nobody is dismissing what people are feeling, yet they are. So what is it that they know that we don't know? Or are they that clueless?
All right. So they're reminding people that it's important to get vaccinated and boosted, especially if you're in one of the more, in the categories where you're more at risk. This is the hysteria over normalcy is a factor of the modern Republican Party that I have, like, it's kind of amazing. And maybe it's just because that's if you're spending all your time ginning up end times conspiratorial horseshit and you're making money hand over fist, how do you pull that back?
Might be. They're that arrogant and that clueless. But
projecting.
Tucker Carlson had something that...
Oh, is this the same shit? Is he going to bring up the same clip that they're going to assassinate Trump?
Well, a different idea. And I hope to sweet baby Jesus that he is wrong.
For the record, I don't know if you know this about baby Jesus, but he grew up to be about 32 years old. Yeah, he died a grown man. Yeah. And he was no more special when he was born as when he died. He was kind of consistently special in theory, according to Christian theology, the whole time. I mean, he was cute as a button when he was little. He was a handsome man when he was older, I think so.
But. So they can't lose. They will do anything to win. So how do they do that? They're not going to do.
Well, I think by actually governing. That seems to be working.
COVID again. I know everyone on the right's afraid they're going to do COVID and mask mandate. They're not going to do that. They can't do that. If they've already been exposed, that won't work. There's going to be no. What are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia. That's what they're going to do.
Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah, we're just gonna. It's a full-on war with Russia. That's it. They're gonna. Biden. It can't run on the fact that he's economically superior to anything that Trump was able to pull off, even coming out of COVID. Even ice skating uphill, just like when the Obama administration came in and they bearing the brunt of the crash that happened under George Bush's fucking watch.
There will be a hot war between the United States and Russia in the next year.
No, there won't. Nope.
And
really?
Yes, of course. They want.
Of course. I mean, this is what, you don't understand, Adam. This is what, like, poor, stupid humans all over the earth do. The rich, I mean, obviously, you know, I grew up rich and all this stuff. We don't do this stuff. We watch it from a hillside, but this is what people do. Have you ever been around normal people? This is all they do. They just, you know, war with each other, and that's the only solution they can come up with.
Anyway, I don't think we'll win it, but that's a separate analysis. But I think it's a political matter. They need to declare war footing in order to assume war powers in order to win. I believe that.
Then you're a fucking idiot. They didn't have to do it last time, and Biden wasn't even in the fucking White House, stupid. At that point, Biden was effectively an unknown entity as his own president. Even though he'd been vice president, nobody knew how he himself would president. And compared to the rest of the world, and even compared to how we were previous, we're doing pretty fucking good. And we're going in a right direction. And the idea that people are going to want to change horses midstream in a recovery anyways is a tired thought. Look at Bill Clinton round 2, even with the scandal that he had to deal with. Biden doesn't need fucking emergency powers to get through this.
And I think the evidence suggests that's true.
What evidence? Just bring up some.
So if you're worried about...
Also, who the fuck has a headline of celebrating the death of Roosevelt on their fucking wall? That's, I mean, imagine, because that didn't find its way to the wall magically. He didn't have a designer come in, although he may have, because I don't think he, like, everything around this dude is a facade.
Our politics getting, like, even more vicious than it already is, and people being hurt in our politics, which is entirely possible.
Well, that's what you're shooting for, right? No pun intended.
You should be worried about the prospect of an open war. We're already at war with Russia, of course. We're funding their enemies. So we're fighting.
Oh, I see. We're funding their enemies, not they're attacking our allies. So, you know, it's an interesting take.
Russia, but I mean an open battle with Russia where we say we're at war with Russia. I think that could easily happen.
That's because you're kind of a toddler.
I think we could Tonkin Gulf our way into it, where all of a sudden,
Tonkin Gulf or Gulf of Tonkin. I don't know. Maybe that's the way you backdoor it. You know, if it's your idea, it's Gulf of Tonkin. If it's their idea, it's Tonkin Gulf. Fucking hell.
This was land in Poland. The Russians did it. Our NATO allies been attacked. We're going to war. I could see that happening very easily.
Can you see Russia actually attacking Poland because they've said they're going to? Does that occur to you? Could you see Russia wanting Trump back in so badly that they attack Poland and threaten open war with NATO just to make that happen, because the other option is just breaking apart, a worse collapse than the Soviet Union? Why is it us? Why would America be the driving force behind this? I'm dead serious. The fuck is in it for us? We don't need their oil. It's not like they have, like, oh, we got to get in there because they have the rare earth minerals we need or some shit. Like, it's just goofy.
So if you're worried about that.
Oh, I know that was when FDR died. I'm saying, how somebody Russia said something about Tucker's comments that Tucker has a death warrant on his head? No. Nobody gives a fuck about Tucker Carlson. No, like, seriously. Nobody wants, like, I can't say nobody because somebody wants to kill everybody. I've had death threats in my life. Like I said, during Talk Soup, there was a punk band called the Hal Sparks Murder Conspiracy. So, like, it happens. But no one who will do it, or who actually has an investment in it, or who is part of a greater group who agrees on it, is planning anything even close to that. If that was even remotely possible, Alex Jones would have been dead a decade ago. Nobody gives a fuck.
You need to put as much pressure as you possibly can on the Republican-held Senate to force a peace.
The Republican-held Senate? He means House. Republicans don't have the Senate. They lost the Senate because Donald Trump told everybody you can't trust voting. And he's still telling them that. And just like they lost the Senate, they're going to lose the presidency next time, no matter who's there, because he's going to attack the process. And what maggot wants to get up off their fucking couch to go vote when they think it's rigged.
Which can be done. The United States could force a peace in Ukraine tonight. We're
Nonsense.
funding one side.
No, we could force a surrender. That's not forcing a peace.
There is no Ukrainian army outside of NATO. If NATO withdrew its support,
Yes, there is. You would just watch people dying as they ran out of ammo, but they would continue to fight.
for Ukraine, Ukraine would crumble in a day.
Right, which is what you're hoping for.
So we are the only power in the world that can bring both sides to the table to.
No, Russia could just say, we'll come to the table and leave. We're going to negotiate a surrender. We'll get the fuck out.
Force a peace, which will be unsatisfactory as all forced peaces are. Like each side will give more than it wants, but that's the only option. Otherwise, I would bet my house on it.
Do it. Bet your house on it. Bet Adam Carolla. He can afford your house. Bet your house on Adam. Take the bet.
We are going to war with Russia.
And does it count? Does the person lose the bet if Russia goes to war with us? If they actually do attack Poland, does this go from prescience to, oh shit, Tucker's been a propagandist for the for the KGB this whole time?
Of course, the stakes are everything, our life on the planet. I mean, these are the two biggest nuclear arsenals in the world facing off against each other.
Right. So where's the win? This is why it hasn't happened so far, stupid. There is no way back after that for anyone, especially not the fucking Russians. You nuts? We beat their hypersonic missiles. And I've said this before, but goddamn it, does Vladimir Putin actually think that post 1991, if he pushes the button and orders their missiles to fly, that they will actually go where he thinks they're going to go? Does he actually believe that when the Soviet Union fell and Russia was righting itself and there was all that mix up and stuff, that we didn't have people come in there and rewrite the root code of their entire guidance system while nobody was minding the fucking store? Would you throw that switch? Like, you're sitting there like, it's like in Hunt for the Red October. You idiot, you've killed us all, right?
That is quite a statement.
It's gibberish.
That is quite a statement. Now, this goes back to something I told you before Ukraine was invaded by Russia.
Okay, first of all, stop talking. Knock it off. No one who actually believes that what Tucker Carlson just said shows up to fucking work tomorrow. Because if the only way the Democrats can win next time is if we start a hot war with fucking Russia, and that hot war is between two nuclear powers, and it's just going to be a nuclear annihilation, that this motherfucker is having a Linda Hamilton Terminator 2 constant premonition that the world's going to end sometime in the next 13 months. If you actually believe that shit, you're not talking to anybody. You're busy digging a hole as close to the North Pole as you can get while still growing crops. The fuck out of here. This goes back to my point about optimism. That is a pessimistic view. That if you actually believed it, your only option would be to retreat from the world. David Icke, who's this dude who was a British football commentator or some shit for a long time, who came out at one point, just had a revelation after probably dropping the wrong acid and said, I'm Jesus. And then he came back later and said, actually, I'm not Jesus. I'm just an emissary from another planet. Actually, I'm kind of part alien. Actually, we're all kind of part alien. And there's also lizard aliens here, and they're eating human milkshakes, and they've taken over a bunch of military bases, and they live below the ground, and now they control the governments. And he's written dozens of books. And on the back of his books, this is how you know he's full of shit. The book's this thick, full of all kinds of stories and shit and blah, accusations that, Hillary Clinton's a lizard and blah, 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 right? On the front, there's a fucking V thing. The whole V thing was based on this ridiculous notion. And, go for eating lizard people or whatever. Because in the 80s, they couldn't show them eating the babies. Now they would make the baby eating thing. Because we could make V today. It'd be pretty fucking kick ass. Anyways, the point is, Here's how you know David Icke is full of shit. One, he still does public events. And two, his picture on the back of it is him smiling like any other dickhead author on their fucking dust flap about the author. Because if he really believed that, the only picture you would possibly be able to get of this dude would be of like Ray Finkel's father in Ace Ventura, just a fucking shotgun barrel sticking out of a door. What do you want? You know, like you'd maybe see one eye, total darkness, shotgun. That's it. Here's a picture of the author. How V was rebooted on ABC in 2006. Yeah, but they didn't. Now with fucking the CGI that's available to regular television, I mean, come on. And how people could, you know, watch, you know, the extremity, what people are used to or able to watch. Post the Dahmer series, you know what I mean? Like, you get the Dahmer writers to, all right, never mind. Laces out, right. I'm looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts, right? Remember that moment in Ace Ventura? That's the picture you would get. Finkel, Einhorn, Finkel. So, yeah. If you believed any of this, like you literally just, you get up and run and fucking hide. We're shutting it all down. The blaze is now burnt down to the ground. We're all gonna, I'm selling everything. We're gonna go live in the fucking mountains. If you don't do that, I know you're full of shit. Totally and absolutely full of shit. It's like saying I'm rapture ready and buying stock.
And while Donald Trump was still in office, I think I said this in 2018 maybe.
What? Yeah, you're going to tell us one of the other predictions that you said that didn't come true?
I laid out a list of all of the things that have to happen, trust implosion, you know, all of the...
Yes, at the Blaze, they call it your mission statement.
Riots in the streets, all of these things that were going on. I said the last thing that will happen is war. We have to have a massive war, because that will be the catalyst that will allow the change of the dollar to come, because you'll be so panicked and everything will be so scattered.
What? Okay, first of all, this is in 2018. This was supposed, all right. He was saying this would happen because they won't let Trump get reelected. They can't beat him fair and square, so they're gonna have to, you know, have a war to do this. And then fucking Biden beat him fair and square. And so that's what, oh God. Yeah, something scattered, his fucking brain cells.
And it
didn't happen.
Terrifies me, because not only is our country always in this pattern, when we...
Yes, we're always in a holding pattern of the end of the world. Maybe it's you, fuckhead. As a Gen Xer, I'm up to fucking here with the end of the fucking world. It's not happening. It's been called off. That's why the song is even, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Because it's always ending. It's always changing. It's always evolving. And if you can't handle it, you freak out. And if you can handle it, you're like, good, we're putting that old shit in the background. And I feel fine. That's why.
When we reach these times, and it's happened 3 times, it happened.
Yes. Well, this is one, if we reach the end times, you know, for the 3rd time, obviously, this end time's the charm.
Happened in the Revolutionary War. Then it happened again in the Civil War. Then it happened in World War II. And now.
That would be, so this is the 4th time.
The pattern is exactly the same.
No. No, not at all. The pattern is in those 3 things and now are totally different. First one's a Revolutionary War, where an entirely new form of governance was created, and to do that, you had to fight off the old system. In the second one, you had the institution of slavery being codified in a bunch of the states because they wanted economic power over the other states, and that was their way of hanging on to it. And plus, they had a different attitude towards their fellow man than the people in the North had come to because of the Christian abolitionist movement. And so we had a war about that. It wasn't fucking because social media drove people into a divisive attitude towards their fellow man. In World War II, we dragged our fucking heels because we don't want to get into a giant land war after seeing what happened in World War I just earlier. But at a certain point, we couldn't help it because while we were trying to slow the pace of the Axis war machine, the Japanese decided to attack Pearl Harbor, and we couldn't face the fact that we finally had to face the fact that the Auschwitz camps and Dachau and all these things were real, and it was an extermination scheme and not just people being locked up until this was over. The fuck does that have to do with Donald Trump, a second-generation rich kid, losing fair and square and then trying to cheat his way and fight his way back into it and losing that as well? There is no pattern in these four. The only pattern is, at first it was quiet and then it got noisy. Like, the fuck out of here. There's a pattern. Every time there's a concert in my town, there's a pattern. First, cars show up in the park, like traffic, it's crazy. And then I hear ads on the radio all day with songs I'm not really comfortable with. And then the parking lot of the arena fills up. It's a pattern. And then the people from those cars start marching into the place. And then there's a thumpy, loudy noise from it for about 3.5 hours, followed by the pattern of them slowly but surely leaving the place. And then traffic is bad for a little while longer. And it happens again and again. And you know what it tells me? Is I don't care what band is playing, they're playing the same 5 songs. Over and over again. I could tell because of the pattern.
And this time, it could be Russia. And if you want the...
No. Again, that's not even true about the people we're actually fighting, fuckhead. And by the way, if you want to talk about fighting Russia, we were in a Cold War with these assholes. The fuck's wrong with you?
fundamental transformation to...
By the way, during the Cold War, especially during the Reagan years, this asshole could not stop filleting Ronald Reagan for being tough and standing up to the fucking Russians. So I don't and don't give me any shit about like nuclear brinksmanship.
Be finished. You need that war. Now, I hope he's wrong.
He is.
And one sign that maybe he is
is that his mouth is moving and he's sitting in a weird little plank office because as we all know very well,
I like wood, deeper and longer.
If you trust that this administration is on the side of the Republic, in 1940, FDR didn't want to go to war, didn't think there would be a war, didn't know the American people didn't want to go to war. But he saw the handwriting on the wall that it was a good possibility we were going to go to war. So in 1940 or 1939, he calls up all of the big corporations and said, hey, we need to re-gear and rethink some things. We need to get on war footing. We need to start making guns, making tanks, making airplanes.
No, we didn't. We were lend-leasing to them. Before we got involved in the fucking war, we were supporting them. We were giving them shit. All right. God. He's going to use, and if Glenn Beck had been around at that time, he would say that America started World War II because of this.
Making ships. We need to make sure that we're starting to hoard some ammunition. Is
that what he said? Yeah, the great ammo hoarding act of 1939.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Et cetera.
And he got us ready because we were woefully unprepared for it. Well, we are in that same situation now.
So I see. We're woefully unprepared to go to war with Russia. And so if Biden wants to start making more military stuff, or he raises the budget, which he has done. Oh, emergency. National Weather Service, flash flood warning in this area till 6:45. My watch is vibrating. Look at that. Your government at work. Your tax dollars work. Don't try to drive through it, dummy. You won't make it. Although I have a big truck. but I won't try. I'm bad.
Military is not ready for a World War III. We're
No military is ready for a World War III. If anyone's is, ours is, but none are. A World War III, in the terms of that he's talking about, is a nuclear war. There's no fighting. It's just a bunch of... Go watch the end of War Games, fuckwad.
not ready for a war with Russia, but our strategic
Well, you think they're ready for a war with us? Because I got news for you.
oil reserve been completely depleted and not replenished, and we are sending all of our extra arms over to Ukraine.
No, excess.
And we haven't begun replacing any of it yet.
Let's see, 1 second. Yeah, I want multiple ones of this one. One, open that guy. Let's see, area measures going. There you go. This is April. Here we go. This is the, oh, here you go. Oop. Things were knocked off Russian tanks to where they're, here you go. You'll have to, like, Trump was just talking about Iowa, with Iowa values. How does he say it? When he's talking about Joni Ernst.
Fighting for Iowa values.
Iowa values. Workers at an Iowa Army ammunition plant in the southeast corner of the state fill the 155 millimeter shells fired by Western howitzers donated to Ukraine, but they aren't making them fast enough to meet demand. Ukrainians have been burning through in 1 month what the United States produces in an entire year. Can't see when this is April. Yeah, April 14th. That's in addition to all the Soviet standard munitions Ukraine forces burned through. Kansi says the United States sent more than 1 million of those artillery rounds before the war. U.S. was producing fewer than 13,000 of them a month. That's increased to about 20,000 now. So Russia's invasion of Ukraine highlights a threat to the United States. Kansi says NATO forces could run out of some kinds of ammunition if there's a war with China or some other. Could run out of some kinds of ammunition if there's a war with China and another major power. And we don't make the stuff fast enough. The Pentagon has launched, they haven't done anything yet. The Pentagon has launched an urgent effort to speed up munitions production, but that presents another danger, price gouging. In the meantime, however, the U.S. military is digging into its global stockpile, foraging for 155 millimeter shells. That's not how you spell meter, but I understand what they're trying, millimeter. Shells from among its allies. South Korea has reportedly agreed to lend U.S. 500,000 shells in an agreement that appears tailored to ease the shortage without directly contributing to the Ukrainian war effort. U.S. also bought 100,000 shells from South Korea last year. U.S. has entered a new era of, but it's not right. This is what he's reading from. U.S. industrial might supplied Allied forces during World War II with crushing superiority in aircraft. The Cold War followed. Blah blah. It's time for a peace dividend that would allow America to shift from guns to butter. Admiral Perry, blah, 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 said he told them there was not going to be enough business to keep them all going. That would be consolidated. So industry listened, consolidated, and as a result was able to weather transition to post-Cold War environment. But it's good. Dozens of defense contractors collapsed post-Cold War, boo-hoo, shedding about a third of U.S. military arms production capacity. And by the way, I'd like to remind everybody that says America only makes weapons of war and that's all we do, and we have to have a war going all the time because that's what we keep afloat. We lost all these like arms producers because we stopped doing shit. Anyways, and you would argue that production is necessary now because Russia waited until we're at a low ebb. That's the theory. Okay, so these are all guys, by the way, who want them to ramp up prices, so take it with a grain of salt, but there you go. If you buy an aircraft, a tank, you can see it out there for 20, 30 years. It provides obvious deterrence, it provides obvious military capability. But you buy any munition, you just put it in a bunker, and it sits there for decades. But a ship or a plane that runs out of missiles isn't an asset, it's just a target. So he recognized this problem years ago. In 2019, it launched an effort to modernize its aging ammunition plants, like the one in Iowa, Lake City Army ammunition plant in Kansas. That's the one where they stopped selling civilians the ammunition that should go to the military when they create overages. That's what was happening. And remember when Glenn Beck shit the bed about that? I think it was last summer. They're like, they're not going to sell that extra military ammunition to hunters and regular people anymore because that's them going after your Second Amendment. No, they're just adding to the stockpiles because of high use. In 2 years, the Pentagon wants to boost production of its 155 millimeter artillery shells at a level 6 times higher than current numbers. It's also looking for dramatic jumps in missile production. The big ramp up of munitions manufacturing has major obstacles. The big ramp up, and by the way, this is my point. Is it difficult? Yes. Do you have the work to do? Absolutely. But the idea that they haven't even started doing it is horseshit. They've already started the process where we're producing 6 times what we're producing now within the next 2 years for ourselves. You think that's going to ebb off once they're done?
So we're being put in a very precarious situation. Tucker is a friend of mine.
No. You consider Tucker a friend. Tucker does not consider you a friend.
I love Tucker.
That's gross.
I'm
sure Tucker likes you, although he doesn't like your set.
I like wood. Deeper and longer.
I know how he feels about Russia and Putin.
He loves him.
But I've never hoped that maybe he was going to turn out to be a Russian shill more than right now.
He is.
Because I think he means that. In fact, I know he means that.
Yeah, but again, you can be a Russian shill because you actually support the idea of a white religious ethno-state run by an authoritarian. If that's your idea of a good time, you can carry both of those buckets at the same time. That's what he's doing.
And if he's right on that,
he's not.
And he could be. That is really, really dangerous. But, I mean, don't worry. You've got a president whose house was hit by lightning once. I'm sure he'll have I was in a battle in the schoolyard with corn pop, and it got really bad. All
right. By the way, if you're going to joke about something, and if you're going to do a callback, comedy class right now, your joke has to be up to the snuff of the seriousness of the topic that you're talking about. Because if it isn't, what we all find out in that moment is that you've just been bullshitting us. You don't care about what you're talking about because you didn't care enough enough of your brain isn't focused on the issue to make a half-decent joke. Does that make sense? It's an off-the-cuff thing because your attitude about the entire thing is off the cuff. You don't have an investment in it at all. And if you don't have an investment in the potential for nuclear war in this particular case, it means you're full of shit. It means you're selling something.
The thing that is on our minds is the other possibility of a war, and that's an internal war.
Yeah, okay. So this we'll fall back. This is curtain number 3, civil war in the United States, which amounts to a bunch of maggots getting mad that Donald Trump gets indicted and then arrested and then found guilty by a jury of his peers, of which they don't believe he has any. And so they decide to go shoot up some shopping malls and call it a civil war for a fucking weekend.
And hopefully it never goes past words.
But if it does, I'm safe in my little compound, and we've got all kinds of fail safes, and nobody's going to come out here because we're allegedly on the side of the people who would start killing people.
The left seems itching for a fight, and they...
What? The fuck you? No, we're not. You know what I'm itching for, you dumbass? Infrastructure. I would like roads and broadband and all that shit and the pipes to be... I want normal government. Itching for a fight. The fuck out of here, dude. I don't want to fight you. I'll get like, it'll be all greasy and ugh.
Don't care where that fight comes from.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, yes, they want a civil war, but they don't care who that civil war is with. You know, there's just lefties just running around swinging at the sun. They're just trying to punch the moon. That's where left ways. They want a civil war so bad they'll start it with themselves. Okay, well then I suppose it's just a circle jerk, and we can just fucking ignore it.
They are.
By the way, that is just amazing fucking gibberish. Can you imagine? This is your civil war fucking fear mongering. Listen to this shit.
Last words, but
hold on.
Possibility of a war, and that's an internal war. And hopefully it never goes past words. But the left seems itching for a fight, and they don't care where that fight comes from. They are trying to put in jail the former president of the United States.
Well, then obviously they care where the fight is coming from. Or they would just start putting people in jail going, you want to fight? I'm putting your gardener in jail. How about this? You know your favorite person who works at the grocery? Right in jail. I'm putting your dog in jail. I don't care who you're fighting. Get the fuck out of here. Trying to put him in jail. He was trying to put himself in jail. Look, if you're going to crime like that, don't crime in such an obvious way, so loudly, and be fucking stupid about it.
A podcast that is out today for Blaze and on Saturday will come out wherever you get your podcasts. It's
yes, I'll avoid
with
it.
Alan Dershowitz.
Oh, good. Okay, he's a trustworthy source. That's great. So did you guys discuss the Civil War you discussed the Civil War? Did you with the guy who had multiple massages at Jeffrey Epstein's fucking house? Was one of the first people to set foot on Epstein's island ever when the dude fucking bought it the first time. Like he was one of the first 7 people to take down there on a visit. And that's the guy. That's your guy. You went, I need to talk to that guy. What is it? How many lawyers are in this fucking country? How many constitutional professors are in this country? How many people could you talk to get actual information about this? And you call the guy who brags about being one of the first people to set foot on Epstein's island, who brags about the fact that he used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. What the fuck?
And I asked Alan,
would you please put your clothes back on? I'm glad you left your underwear on, but I don't need to see you in this stage. Is that what you said?
To take all 7 court cases now. He's involved in 7.
Right, but 3 of them are civil. And one of them he could have been out of, but he opened his fucking trap and it repeated what he was found guilty of saying, of defaming E. Jean Carroll. He did it again.
4 indictments and 3.
Yeah, 4. Mm-hmm.
3 civil cases.
Yes, 4 indictment and 3 civil cases. How's that go again? Do those. Ladies and gentlemen, this is who we're dealing with. Run that by me again, asshat.
7.
Ugh.
4 indictments.
4 indictments. Gotcha. Okay, someone's writing this down.
And 3.
And 3. One of 2 things is happening here. Glenn. Well, one of 3 things. 1, Glenn can't count. 2, Glenn does not believe that thumbs are fingers. And 3, Glenn has no control over his thumbs. His thumbs have a mind of their own. And if that's the case, Sue, go straight to HR, Stu, if you can, and file a lawsuit, because I can't imagine what your days are like.
Civil cases. And can you just take me through all of these? Tell me.
You're on every fucking day and you don't know what's in them? Gee, it's almost as if you spend more time looking at Tucker Carlson interviews on other platforms and repurposing that news for your audience instead of creating your own shit or actually verifying what the fuck you are talking about.
Where it's a strong case, where it's a weak case, what are the facts, what's really going on? And he did that. In an hour, he'll take you through all of them.
And then he still had 20 minutes left over for a rub and tug.
And you will have a completely different, your friends who think that this is all justified, that Donald Trump did something. You listen to this with Alan Dershowitz and your friends listen to it, they will
want to go to Jeffrey Epstein's house and get a rub and tug. They'll start to think that these girls were attracted to Alan Dershowitz. They'll see his fucking mug in that camera and go, you know, maybe that was their idea. It's Alan fucking Dershowitz.
At least, if they're honest, be convinced that these are the weakest cases ever.
No one. All right, fuck off. Documents case alone. There is recorded audio of this motherfucker saying, I could have declassified this when I was president, but I can't now. But take a look at this. That's it. Game, set, fucking match. Don't even start with this fucking weakest case ever, asshole. That's just fucking dumb. Oh, am I frozen again? It might be water. Am I here? Am I still there?
That they, as he says, they're smoking cigarette butts. It's not a smoking gun.
Just in case anybody is wondering, murderers have been convicted of murder because they left cigarette butts at the scene of a crime. They might have gotten rid of the gun, but they left their DNA on the cigarette butt at the fucking site of the crime. It's a stupid analogy, even for Dershowitz.
It's a cigarette butt. It's not. It's questionable, even if it's a crime.
Jesus Christ! Try harder.
Maybe it's bad for you, but it's a cigarette butt, not a gun.
Is this where we find out that Dershowitz liked to put out cigarettes on the girls at Epstein's house? Is his way of telling us? Where it's like, it's not a big fucking deal.
And he talked about how we're becoming a banana republic.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. That's, okay, so he got the memo. Who gives a shit?
And he said on my podcast, The Dersh Show, he said,
why would you name your podcast The Dersh Show? Does he sit on your lap the whole time you do it? That's very weird.
Said, I'm giving out bananas. I'm looking at things.
I'm out. I'm not getting into a situation where we're discussing Alan Dershowitz giving out fucking bananas. Shut the fuck up. Gross. Is that what you were doing at fucking Epstein's house? Ah, god damn it. Giving out bananas. Fuck. Right off. Ugh. Now, I'm seriously, I got to move on from that because I'm just grossed out by it. And I'm like, again, what a fuck, like, so that's your line of stuff. First of all, just randomly his own pronunciation about shit based on stuff that he said was going to happen years ago and didn't, but it's any day now. Any day now. It's the, the rapture mentality. Like the end times haven't gotten here yet, but I'm here now, so they're going to happen. And then he goes to Tucker saying we're going to war with Russia because that's the only way they could beat Trump, even though genuine polls show that Trump is losing independence by like 11, 12 points everywhere, and it's just getting worse. And he's just, the more he gets out there, the worse it gets. These short videos are going to fuck his numbers. You watch. You want a prediction? These little videos he's been posting on Truth Social when they get around are laughably fucked up. And he's going to lose independence. We're going, oh, fuck this guy. I'm not voting, or I'm going to vote for Biden because this is just stupid. And then he goes to fucking Dershowitz. That's your cleanup guy. I like sick butts, and I cannot lie. Simmer down. All right, now Matthew Whitaker was on Newsmax, and he brings up there's a smoking gun. This is I know the language might be a little soft for some people, but this is the smoking gun in Biden investigation Whitaker. Okay, I don't know what it is. I haven't pre-watched this. Let's find out what the smoking gun is. It's Friday. It's 4:39 my time. There's a I think is it raining out here? No, Rain stopped. Okay. Okay. So far, the backyard is not completely flooded. Okay. So we're good. So yeah, smoking gun. Here it comes. This is it. I mean, it'll be over by the weekend. Biden won't last. This is a smoking gun. It's a smoking gun. As analogies go, that's pretty direct. Yeah. I'm a sick man. You keep rubbing your nose in. Yeah, I don't do drugs. Sorry. Yeah, I don't do drugs or drink or anything like that. So try harder. It's good. All right. Here we go.
Joe Biden has been president now for 2.5 years.
Yes. And I like you saying that just because I know it upsets you. Hold on.
His approval rating is lower than any president outside of Jimmy Carter this far into his first term. And it looks.
You know what's weird is Jimmy Carter created more jobs than Donald Trump did in one term. Both one-termers, point to point. Yeah.
Like Americans are starting to wise up.
Oh, yes. The New York Post. Thank God.
Joining us now, former acting U.S. Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Welcome in.
Hey, good morning.
Matt, good to see
Everybody, I'm over at Tucker's house. He let me use the flag outhouse.
I like wood.
And
deeper and longer.
you. Happy Friday. We just learned about these
Happy Friday. America's dying.
4,500 emails where President Biden was VP and he was signing these emails using fake names.
No, again, common practice. And they're archived. They're part of his government work.
We had James Comer on with us yesterday, and he made it clear that the Oversight Committee wants these emails from the National Archives, but the National Archives says that they're not going to send them to the Oversight Committee unless Joe Biden and Barack Obama approve the release of the emails.
Yeah, it's part of the Presidential Records Act and the reasoning behind it. You can subpoena them, I suppose, if there's a crime.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, guess what? We're back in the Presidential Records Act, which only seems to help Democrats. And
right, because Donald Trump wasn't following the Presidential Records Act when he took classified documents because he was no longer fucking president, and those aren't records. And,
certainly has been not helpful to former President Trump and his.
Well, yeah, it's not the fault of the the Presidential Records Act. It's the fault of his sort of like gelatinous paste-like brain not being able to process reality.
Battle over presidential records. But that being said, Rob, what we have here is a situation where the Obama-Biden administration that ended in 2016 could easily wave a magic wand and say, you know what, we want to be transparent. We want to demonstrate that we have nothing to hide and we're going to share these documents. And instead, they're stonewalling. And why are they?
Yeah, I agree. You know what? But first, I mean, since it's a timely nature, the timeliness of the documents themselves, most of what happened in the Obama-Biden administration can stand up to scrutiny as far as bills passed and decisions made and all that kind of stuff. They can argue that, Trump's are nearer and the impacts of some of those decisions have yet to be felt. That's how it often works out. So I would suggest that, you know what, Trump and Obama should sit down and agree to give the communications that Obama and Biden did about their schedules using another name to organize these things. And Trump will give all of his communications with, from, and to Jared Kushner, and whom Jared Kushner was conversing with during the Trump presidency. Yeah, just at the same time.
Stonewalling because these are the documents. This is the smoking gun.
No, it's not. The DOJ has access to these, so Bill Barr would have been able to see them while Trump was president.
Shows that Joe Biden was directly involved with his son, Hunter Biden, and his
No, they don't.
business dealings, gave him important intelligence that was not publicly available so that Hunter Biden could do his business transactions and help his Ukrainian friends at Burisma and elsewhere.
Move from a Russian-controlled corruption architecture that had existed in the country since the fall of the Soviet Union to a freer and more democratic version of things where Burisma is now a functioning company, and before it was a sock puppet of the Russian government meant to undermine oil and gas exploration and production in Ukraine. Nah.
so that the Biden family could profit.
To be clear, it is illegal if you are in an office like Biden was vice president at the time to use that office to benefit financially through doing business with foreign countries.
So you're not going to bring on Jared Kushner right after he's done? You're sure you want to bring this up? Because you're talking about the Bidens who have their main house and their lake house versus Trump, who is in debt up to $400 to $600 million to God knows fucking who.
But you're right. If they were to just have not done anything wrong, releasing the emails would completely alleviate them from the blame. Do you think that we will see these emails, or will they be swept under the rug just like the cocaine in the White House?
They didn't sweep the cocaine under the rug in the White House. It got dropped into a visitor's box. You remember that particular scandal? How that never played out because you can't really tell who it was or whatever. Whoever dropped it off made sure there was no DNA on it. So, I mean, I think here's the easy thing. There's no fingerprints, no DNA on it. So clearly, you go back through the footage and you look who came to visit wearing rubber gloves.
Well, that's a really good point. And, it's not only whether or not Joe Biden benefited from his official duties, but whether his family did. And that,
What if they were hurt by it? What if they were hurt by it? Because the guys that, again, Zlochevsky basically had Shokin on a short leash. He was paying him off to leave him alone. And then he gets fired, and the guy that goes after him, he ends up having to flee the country.
That is the to me, what the conspiracy is here. And that is, it was very clear that Joe Biden knew what Hunter was doing. And these emails will help tell us and fill out that picture.
Especially the ones where he's like, look, you can't tell people that I'm going to help you out because I'm just not, son.
And that, Hunter Biden, who's, the son of the then vice president, was benefiting financially from that. Now, the more interesting thing
is how Devin Archer made more money, and he's not even related to Biden. Did Joe Biden like Devin Archer more than Hunter?
And in addition to all of that is, how Joe Biden, who used to call himself Amtrak Joe, said he was the poorest member of the Senate and had been in public service since the Nixon administration.
Right.
Suddenly can afford, multiple houses, including.
Well, you have 23 years of his taxes. It's pretty fucking easy. Also, just for the record, once you become vice president or even become a presidential candidate and then become vice president and then, live through that time and then post-presidency, a lot of your house costs and shit like that can kind of go down because the government has to protect you. And so there are a lot of normal things about your life that the government has to kind of pick up, kind of like in your health care and the like. These expenditures that get very expensive for a lot of people go away. But you can look at his taxes, 23 fucking years. You can see exactly how the house was bought, how they own it. Like, it's just stupid. And he knows this, by the way.
Beachfront property in his home state of Delaware.
Yes. Beachfront property in Delaware at the lake is just it's fuck Miami and Beverly Hills or like Malibu. Fuck Malibu. That's not, these aren't the beaches. It's the fine, comforting beaches of Delaware, especially on the lake where they're, insofar as I can see where the house is, there is no beach.
It is an accumulation of massive wealth.
Massive wealth. Massive. Guys, it's massive wealth. Hold on. I think I'm just going to say that I think it probably is just the Biden brand is worth a lot. And that's what elevates their net worth. This works for Trump. Why not work for him? Okay, so Biden. Let's see. Okay. We'll go up to here. How much is Joe Biden worth? Let's find out. After cashing in during the Trump era, Joe Biden is once again taking government paycheck. That's not stopping him from continuing to add millions to his fortune. President Biden is worth an estimated $10 million, up from $8 million when he took office. The increase has nothing to do with family business dealings in far-flung countries. Instead, he's getting richer by doing what a lot of 80-year-old Americans are doing, sitting on real estate. The president owns 2 homes in Delaware that are worth an estimated $7 million combined. So his entire, of his $10 million net worth, $7 million is the houses. 1.8 million more than when he took office. So they were 5 when he took office. The most valuable property is a 4,800 square foot summer home in Rehoboth Beach, worth an estimated $4.5 million. Biden bought it in 2017, the year he left the vice presidency, and earned $11.1 million, cashing in on speeches and books. He bought it in 2017. I don't remember who was president in 2017, but I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me. He added a pool, which may have cost as much as $75,000 in November of that year. All this seemed like a splurge at the time, but it proved to be a wise investment. During the pandemic, homebuyers flocking to bigger properties with outdoor amenities like Biden's, 7 minutes from the ocean and next to a state park loaded with biking trails. 7 minutes from the ocean. That's a big fucking beach. Can you imagine walking on a beach for 7 minutes to reach the water? That's more like a mini desert. All right. Next to a state park loaded with biking trails. That's why Trump would never buy there. The home is now worth an estimated $4.5 million, 1.7 more than it originally cost. The president owns an even larger, though not quite as valuable house in Wilmington's picturesque Greenville neighborhood. It started at just a piece of land, which Biden bought for $350,000 in 1996, before adding a 6,850 square foot colonial-style home 2 years later. Then a 1,900 square foot cottage in 2005. For years, it was Biden's most valuable asset. He refinanced it repeatedly until receiving his 2017 windfall. Today, the property is worth an estimated $2.5 million, $700,000 more than it was worth 2 years ago. Combined, Biden's homes make up about 2/3 of his personal fortune. Middle-class Joe, whose spokespeople did not respond to questions for comment, has long had an appreciation for some of the finer things in life. His father, Joe Sr., had a series of fledgling businesses before finding his niche as a car dealer. When Joe Jr. got married to his first wife in '67, his father gave him a 1967 Corvette Stingray, paying $5,600 at the time, $51,000 in today's dollars. Decent investment. The car remains in the president's garage and is worth an estimated $100,000 a day today. Part of his net worth is a fucking car he's had since 1967. He's the original owner. Jesus Christ. I'm starting to think Biden should have written Art of the Deal. Biden's love for real estate goes back just as far. When he was in his mid-20s, Biden purchased 3 houses and 85 acres in Maryland, hoping to one day turn it into a family compound. In the short term, he tried to make money from it, renting out the homes. Meanwhile, he and his family lived rent-free in a cottage nearby. They lived in the cottage and rented out the houses. You know, like the Trumps would do, in exchange for managing a local pool. Jesus Christ. He and his family lived rent-free in a cottage nearby in exchange for managing a local pool. Money was tight. He later explained in his memoir, "I was in constant danger of falling behind." It's all the worth of his houses. He's got a pension, which is a big chunk of it, and other holdings, which are just kind of random. Nonetheless, he bought an even bigger house in 1975, a 10,000 square foot mansion that once belonged to a storied Delaware family, the DuPonts, with a courtyard, pool house, circular drive, and colonnade. The house was spectacular, so much so that misinformation warriors, including former first son Eric Trump, used it to accuse Biden of corruption in the 2020 presidential race, long after Biden had sold the property. The truth of how he acquired it was more mundane. Biden took on a lot of debt. Earning about $43,000 as U.S. Senator at the time, he borrowed $160,000 to purchase the place for $185,000. He bought a 10,000 square foot mansion in 1975 for $185,000. He held on to the home, and thanks to rising property values, even turned it into something of a piggy bank. When he needed cash, he refinanced the property, taking out more and more debt as the years went on. How did all the mainstream middle-class people get their wealth? Biden asked a group of mayors earlier. 90% of them through investing in their homes. That was certainly true in his case. In '96, he sold the mansion for $1.2 million, then plunked down $350,000 for a piece of land nearby where he had plans to build a new home on a pond. You know, a beach with a, the good old beachfront pond property. Biden constructed 2 houses on the property, turning it into the Wilmington estate he owns today. He proceeded to treat it like a piggy bank too, repeatedly refinancing over the years. After he became vice president, Secret Service started renting the cottage, reportedly paying him $26,400 annually. Fucking Trump was getting that by the month at Mar-a-Lago. One year, his son's bone hunter paid to rebuild the engine of his Corvette. But money was still a problem for the family, especially when Bo got sick with cancer, which ultimately killed him in 2015. Joe Biden contemplated selling the Wilmington home to help out with the medical bills. Barack Obama told him that if he needed extra money, he'd be happy to personally cover the expenses. Cash came pouring in after Biden left the White House. Former Vice President earned $11.1 million in 2017, 4.6 in 2018, $1 million in 2019, and $630,000 in 2020, the year he was elected commander-in-chief. Between his time as vice president and president, his net worth shot up from an estimated 2.5 to 8. Now he's even richer thanks to real estate holdings, which have helped. And again, he's just sitting on his house. It's not like he's fucking gambling on real estate. Never much of a stock investor, Biden has plenty of cash on hand. Today, he and First Lady Jill Biden have less than $310,000 invested in the market, all held in mutual funds. Much more is simply sitting in bank accounts. The president collects $400,000 a year in salary, plus a $250,000 pension payout. Should he want any extra liquidity down the road, he can always borrow against his holdings. At the end of the last year, the president took out a home equity line of credit against the Rehoboth property, allowing him to draw as much as $250,000. One asset that's off limits, though, is the Corvette. They tell me it's worth a lot of money, Biden said at the White House bill signing last year, but I know if I ever sell it, Bull will come down from heaven and smite me down. His sons rebuilt the engine on it so it would keep running. The fucking story that these assholes tell about the money, the fucking money. For a former, like, fucking hell. Wait, let me, one more time. Let me look something else up. Let's see. Here's Dick Cheney. You want to see how much Dick Cheney's worth? His net worth, $150 million. Just saying. Biden's president of the United States right now, he's worth about $10 million because his houses have gone up because he just stays in them, fixes them up, and then has refinanced them until he was able to pay off the financing. He even took out a secondary loan, like, oh, God damn it. So, Dick Cheney's worth $150 million. How about that? Let me do this. How about, fuck. Dan Quayle is worth almost as much. Dan Quayle, yeah, here you go. Dan Quayle's net worth is $7 million. Is anybody going to buy, like, Dan Quayle's fucking book? Potato is spelled with an E, god damn it. Like, all right. How about, like, well, shit, how about, fuck it, why don't we just go at George W. Bush's? Well, shit, let's go here. Net worth in millions. Let's see, this is the down. Here's the list of net worth of presidents. We're going to talk about amassing a fortune while in the White House. All right, here we go. This is from Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. Donald Trump, obviously way out there in the $3 billion. He's mad because it says Trump is claimed to be worth $10 billion, but his financial disclosure and campaign statements vary. Forbes estimated his net worth at $3 billion in 2022. So he's got a little asterisk. George Washington, $707 million in modern U.S. dollars. In 2022 dollars, George Washington was rich. But then, of course, just fucking having land made you rich back then. So Thomas Jefferson, $284. Theodore Roosevelt, $168. Andrew Jackson, James Madison. Get to Lyndon Johnson, and we're in the modern era in a lot of ways. He was worth $131 million, in modern 2022 dollars. Herbert Hoover, Kennedy, 99. Bill Clinton, 90. That makes sense. I mean, whatever. Franklin Roosevelt, 79. Right there, right. John Tyler, George Bush. There you go. Barack Obama's at 48. George Bush is at 47. James Monroe, Martin Van Buren, Grover Cleveland, George H.W. Bush. And Richard Nixon was worth $20 million in modern time. let's see, 2022 dollars. Jimmy Carter's down here at 9. Gerald Ford. Look, Joe Biden's just $1 million more than Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter. Not even in the top 10. Yeah, Cheney. I thought Cheney was dead too. I don't know why. That's weird. I would assume that if he croaks, there'll be a big noise about it. But I just thought quietly he'd sort of. I think a lot of people associate his death with Scalia, like they were both joined together, like this, like a Skeksis or something.
Suddenly, as soon as he leaves the vice presidency, and remember that was really only.
No, it wasn't suddenly. There was nothing sudden about it. Book deal and speeches. Wasn't sudden. You know what's sudden? A $3 billion wealth fund where $2 billion of it comes from the Saudis within weeks of leaving the White House in Jared Kushner. That's suddenly.
For a short period of time, about 2 years.
About 2 years. Yeah, just enough time to get a book deal, write a book, sell the book, and then do a bunch of speeches, and then report all that income.
Then he was running for president.
Right, good point. Okay, so Georgia Governor Brian Kemp yesterday basically decided that he will not step in to remove Fani Willis from her role as district attorney or from her role in this case. I'm wondering
it'd be a little weird.
So he could do some.
It'd be a little weird if a witness, a potential witness in the case, is able to and does get rid of Trump's like rival in the legal, like, fuck up. Yeah, it's Fani. Look, she's not buying it though. Notice how that's how much of this video is a 5-minute and 20-second segment on Newsmax. 3 minutes and 28 seconds is about the smoking gun. They're switching channels about they're switching the conversation now. Did you hear a smoking gun in this? This asshole who was an acting attorney general, Trump put him in place, and everybody else was like, fuck you. When he was filling people with sycophants and when he was going to take over the fucking government. This is like, it wouldn't be surprising if this dickhead was one of the unindicted co-conspirators. Right? Call that out of covert disrespect. I agree. Yeah. So his argument and what he's saying here is that the archived communications using government emails and the conversations that will be in them, that Joe Biden, who has been in government since the Nixon administration, apparently, would not know that those emails that they created specifically so that he could talk without somebody filling up his fucking joe.biden@whitehouse.gov account with fucking spam, that they had to create those so they could actually have communications. Anybody with a famous name in government needs one, right? And there's a reason why they don't just like give you a number or something, which is like, oh, if they give you a number, that's definitely Joe Biden. Or they give you a number, that's definitely Barack Obama or the staff around there. So that's all you got to do. If you haven't caught Joe Biden now because he's this criminal mastermind, what the fuck makes you think he would do something so stupid as to talk about business and all this stuff or say there's no evidence, while he knows there's evidence in government archived emails that he supposedly used while in office? It's just dumb. Yeah, the trolls are really having a day today. It's adorable. By the way, welcome, trolls. I don't want you to feel bad. You're welcome here. We think you're hilarious. And keep trying, keep swinging. You'll make it, I mean, your guy's not going to get elected next time. I'm just telling you. See, but you can't just the whole like there's just something inherently anti-gay to that. So that's you just being gross. So that you can't do. So if you can just keep your like language away from being bigoted or using any racial epithets, you can say whatever the fuck you want. And by the way, I appreciate that you think that I have dewy, glowing skin. I mean, it's got to be a hard, reaction for a lot of you folks, because I think I'm older than most of you. So, Yeah. Um, trolls take all kinds of payment. It's true. It's true. You might be my cousin, Carrie. Well, I would count myself lucky. Yeah, you Goya Tan. What? Yeah, but I told you, like, the shirt was going to definitely bring the trolls in. What's up, Craig? How you doing? Hey, trolls, it's okay. Yeah, like, we don't hate, we don't, and again, please get vaccinated. Even if you're not going to get the COVID one, get the other ones so that you don't die early. We would rather argue with you and have you be healthy and eventually vote however you truly feel, even if it's fucking stupid, because I'm pro-democracy that much, where I'm happy to vote, opposite you, but I think that's valuable to our country. I don't want you to pass away or do yourself in or think the only way that your vote can count is if you take out somebody else, kill one of your fellow Americans, turn into your own kind of MAGA jihadi. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, Deanne, happy birthday. That's fantastic. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Hold on. Happy birthday, Deanne. Happy birthday. So happy birthday. It's good. Jesse Ventura telling a Seinfeld joke. Jesus. What? Listen, how many times have I got to tell you that one of the things you do is you go and you stand in front of the mural in the Denver airport and you say, what's
Maybe
the
not
deal with
her as...
Shut the fuck up, I'm talking. What's the deal with this elevator? All right. What's the deal with Minnesota? Is it smaller than the other sodas? I mean, honestly. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. If I'm just pulling them out of my ass, that's pretty close. Yeah. Jesse sounds like Lindell. Well, I mean, they're the same place. They grew up in the same area. Yeah. I need a bald filter for that. That's true. Hold on. Let me see if I can find one of those. Let's see. I don't know that he's like fully bald. He's got like bald with a mullet, like a hanger on hair or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, that's just fucking weird. Hold on. Can you, like this one? Yeah. Now, goddammit, I was the fucking governor of Minnesota. Fantastic. Listen, everything you see in the media is all made up. Everyone's an actor. You ever wonder why everybody who works on CNN is in SAG-AFTRA and why AFTRA joined? Largely because the American Federation of TV and Radio Actors also covered radio personalities, which covered news readers, because the unionization of them was necessary, because they all worked crazy fucking hours and ended up, even the women had a voice like me. That's why. But once they joined together, everybody had to be a goddamn actor. Just because you read a teleprompter doesn't mean you're acting. Although I do think, personally, Wolf Blitzer is full of goddamn shit. All right? Sorry. You don't think I should shave my head? No, you don't. It's not a good look. This is actually a pretty good Rogan head. The mustache has got to go, but it's pretty solid. There you go. Shit.
DA, but maybe
I hate that fucking. Every time I adjust my headphones, it has that little like push play and stop because it thinks it's talking to an iPhone or something. And yeah, it's so irritating. Although, I mean, you could argue this is pretty good. This is still, no. Try to check. What the fuck is that? Jesus Christ. This, hold on.
God damn it. I told you fellas 1,000 goddamn times. I never said I'd age well. Here's the thing. If you're ever going to pick up smoking, don't do it when your skin is already fucking dry. Wow. Come on now.
Yeah, definitely yikes. But I'm keeping that for later. I don't know how I'll use it, but shit, I like that one too. I'm finding new character faces, and it's just gonna be stupid. This one might be a good one though. Oh, this would be a good. I think I've got a Joe Rogan. If I can do, I just got to figure out the voice. Jamie, bring up the guy. Bring up the thing about the guy with the thing that we saw for like 2 seconds. Bring up the thing that I took a glance at for like 2 seconds, and I think I know all about it. The thing I was sort of reading, Jamie, put it up on the screen. Jamie, tell this guy, because as I understand it, so you drive high and you find it's fun? Me too. Anyways, Jamie, bring up the thing about the guy who drives high for a living, like the Uber driver who uses acid. Bring up the guy about the thing about the guy. So it's more like Travolta. Right. It's not a bad one. I'm keeping it. I'm gonna keep this one. We'll use this later. I think Jimmy, bring up the thing about the guy with the thing of the guy. Bring up the guy. Bring up the clip of the guy. Jimmy, bring up the thing of the guy. You ever tried fargahestrone? It's a chemical that it's only found in milk thistle, but they've isolated it and it makes it's supposedly it's a testosterone booster. I've heard this, one of the side effects makes your head gigantic, but I don't believe it. Bring up the study about the thing where it says that it makes your dick big, but it doesn't make your head get any bigger, even if you take too much of it. Jamie, bring that up and put it up on the screen. Bring up the right. Is that not? That's my truncated version, more nasal and steroidy. I'll work on it. Jason Statham. Yeah, that's pretty solid. That should become a thing, I think. What the fuck is that? Now I'm just being silly. All right. So, not Green Shrek. Yeah. It kind of is, isn't it? Yeah, that's a winner. That's a good, I mean, that'll work. But every time, now we got to do some Rogan clips just so I can go, just put that in there. Jamie, bring up the clip about the guy with the thing and the thing. Bring up the Joe Rogan clip where we can look at the guy with the thing and he was saying the thing. Remember the thing I half read and I told you I knew all of it already, even though I only read the title of the thing. Bring up the thing that I read the title about the thing, because I heard from this guy who once read half an article that there was a thing that they were trying to do with everybody. Like there was this thing where the atmosphere is actually inside out. And it's just wild. Jamie, bring up the thing about the atmosphere of the Earth being inside out, and that the equator is actually a piece of string, and if anybody cuts it, the Earth will pop. Bring up the thing about the guy. Jamie, bring up the thing about the kidney. Sorry, what happened? What happened just then? Did anybody hear that? Anyways, all right, I gotta go. I gotta get prepped for radio tomorrow. I got a radio show tomorrow. Boston Brian's gonna be joining us in the second half of the top hour, which means from the 9 to 10 hour, he'll be in the second half hour. That way I can start my show off and get everything prepped, and then he comes in the half hour and we can ask him a bunch of questions instead of me feeling like I have to overlap and do my regular show shit on top of what I'm trying to ask him, because I want to save up my questions and build him up so people know that we love Boston Brian. And then Philip Ittner will be joining us for the second hour. Very exciting. And then Monday, I'm going to, if the internet holds out from the rain, I'm going to do, hold it. I'm going to probably do a marathon. I froze like Mitch. It happens. Yeah. No, I didn't freeze like Mitch because my freezing was an internet issue. Although, you know what? I'm not a doctor. Maybe there's something wrong with Mitch McConnell's Wi-Fi. Suck on that, QAnon. Maybe. Hold on. Jamie, bring up the thing about the guy who has Wi-Fi in his head, and every time when he stops talking in the middle of it, and then his belly button starts saying loading. Bring up the thing about he's like a Kentucky senator or something like that. Yeah, bring up the guy. Yeah, I think it's it's right. It's part of that article I read about 5G. Bring up the thing I read about 5G, where it was, if you like what the G's stand for, which is like something like Freemasony. Bring up that. Bring up the thing about, and then put it and bring in more weed.
I like wood.
Great to be with you, Dick.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
Deeper and longer.
What?
All right. So much for that.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? No. Am I the only person that has that